Hello, welcome to the first of the 3 FMAT Onboarding primer videos, where we will cover the essentials of backline manufacturing, including gathering resources, refining materials, producing supplies, and storing those supplies. Let's start by opening the map by pressing M, then hold down Shift and left-click twice to find the seaports and storage depots in the area, which are used to store what we produce as a coalition. Come here and press E to access the seaports to grab yourself a truck so you can move the salvage you gather and the supplies you will be producing. Open the map again and left-click on the screw for salvage fields or this icon representing salvage mines. Check by hovering your cursor which sources actually have salvage ready for you to collect. You can see that this salvage field is empty, but this one still has a few nodes on it that we can harvest. So let's drive over there. Here, at a salvage field, you can either use the hammer you spawned with, a sledgehammer, or a mobile harvester to collect salvage. The later we are in the war, the more of these options become available, becoming increasingly efficient. Hold left-click on these piles of salvage sitting on the ground to gather them. Put the salvage into your truck as your inventory fills up. Once your truck is full, you can take it to the refinery. Find the refinery on the map at the hammer icon. When you access the refinery, you will see a list of things that you can produce. For now, you will just be producing basic materials with the salvage you have. Left-click to submit salvage to the queue bit by bit, or hold Shift and left-click to submit everything in your inventory to the queue. You can also produce explosive powder at the same time. You will see here that there are other raw resources that can be produced into various other things. We will not be going over them in this video, but do feel free to ask your onboarder, other members of FMAT, or general Foxhole players for more info about them. Left-click on the BMats to grab what you've produced. However, if you right-click on them, you have the option to retrieve them as crates. These crated basic materials are labeled reservable, meaning they can be submitted to private stockpiles at seaports and storage depots. With the BMats that you have collected, drive over to this icon on the map representing the factory. As you hover your cursor over an icon in the factory, look at the bottom of its description to see its cost. Orders are placed by clicking on the desired item icons. Each click adds a crate of the particular item to the order, 4 crates max, displayed in the output window on the right. In the factory, you have the option to produce 7 different categories of items: small arms, heavy ammo, utilities, supplies, medical, and uniforms. You can place orders in these different categories at the same time. Some queues in the factory may already be in use, in which case, if you set a queue, the factory will not begin producing your order until all previous orders in that category are complete. To the right, it displays when your order will be done. The mass production factory, or MPF, operates very similarly to a standard factory, with a few major differences. Immediately above the material cost of everything in the mass production factory, there is a note that there is a discount on the cost per crate stacking for each additional crate set. A full queue produces 9 crates of something at the mass production factory, as opposed to 4 at the standard factory. With the discount, a full queue that would have cost 900 BMats now costs 550. Another major feature of the mass production factory is that, although production takes 10 times longer than in a standard factory, each subsequent queue that is added to the MPF reduces the time of all orders that were placed before it. The last notable difference between the standard factory and the MPF is that the MPF cannot produce utility or medical supplies, but it can produce vehicles and structures. These queues can only produce 5 crates at a time instead of 9. Whenever you set a queue at the MPF, make sure that you are setting the maximum number of crates possible, and make sure that the queue is set to the FMAT squad. If you are not in the FMAT squad, open your chat by pressing Enter, press Tab to cycle through to the regiment chat, and ask to be invited to the FMAT squad. To empty the MPF, select the squad production section and click the checkmark next to finished queues of items. Note that accepting a queue of vehicles or structures will spawn in a crate at the pad, requiring a flatbed to move. After pulling, submit the supplies to the closest coalition stockpile. When you arrive at the seaport or storage depot, open the stockpile labeled MBG, followed by the name of the town and a number, starting with 1. Right-click the inventory of your truck and select Submit All to Stockpile. If the stockpile is full, you will receive a message stating That can't be stored at a reserve stockpile, or some items are not reservable. In this case, select the next stockpile in sequence. Only people who have the stockpile codes will be able to retrieve what we have stored here. If you pull something from the public stockpile or have a crate that is non-reservable, you will only be able to submit it to the public stockpile. That concludes the basics of backline manufacturing, including gathering raw resources, refining them into materials, producing supplies, and storing those supplies in our stockpiles. Thank you for watching the first of 3 FMAT Onboarding primer videos. The next video will cover moving supplies and the tool we use to track our production.